Hi, my name is Jordan Goddard. I'm with Indie Toy Lab, and I'm here to play the Toy Hub Trivia. So question number one, where do you find inspiration? This is actually a good question, and I think everybody's answer is different, and mine's probably going to be peculiar, but I walk around the hardware store. I love our local hardware store. I find that there's a really interesting mix of components and doodads and bits that can inspire a mechanism or an idea or a shape, and that really helps me. Additionally, your hardware store is where you're going to find all of the people in your community that know how to build stuff. And if you have good questions on how to affix a round thing to a straight thing, it's a great place to ask questions. But generally, like the shapes and the way that the mechanics come together really help me. So it's not only a source for buying prototyping equipment in a pinch, but it's also a great place to get inspiration. Question number two, how important are prototypes? Okay, so we do a lot of different variety of prototypes. We do prototypes that are literally just, Velcro and a ball, and some of them are really well, like sculpted, designed, all kinds of different 3D printed parts and moving parts as well. How important are prototypes? Vary, because they get you from this nebulous idea that we kind of maybe agree on into a hard, concrete thing that we know what we're talking about. The twist on that question is, what should a prototype be? What level of refinement should a prototype have? And my answer to that is the bare minimum needed to get the core concept across. You can't spend 2 years on each prototype or you won't get anything done, but you have to find the nugget of information you need to get from my head to yours and find out what is the shortest path in plastic or wood or whatever to get that core concept across. So how important are they? Vary. And my answer to what you should do about one is the least you can and still get your point across. Question number three, how can you tell a good idea from a bad idea? If you know how to do this, call me. We'll flash my number below and you're hired. Because the answer is you don't know. All you can do is make the things you love. And the reality is, if you make the things you love, there are a lot of people who love that stuff too. So you have to be true to yourself, your own tastes. You can't tell a good idea from a bad idea. Creativity is not a measurement of how good your ideas are. It's how different they are from other ideas. We can't control if they're good or not. We can just control if they're original and unique to us. So make the stuff you love and let them figure out if it's good. Question number three, what is the difference between a designer and an inventor? So I don't know that there's an accepted definition here. I can tell you my experience. I came up in kind of games first. A lot of people start in games. Games are quicker and easier to iterate, ideate, and get into people's hands, whereas sometimes toys require CAD or modeling or things like that. Games are a lot of people's window into the industry. In the hobby game and kind of boutique board game industry, people who do invention are typically called designers. So you're a board game designer or a board game author in parts of Europe, right? And in the toy world, typically they're called toy inventors. So they're oftentimes identical, but just depending on which room you're in or which show you're at, they're referred to as different things. Question number something, probably 5. Question number 5, what is the difference between an idea and an invention? Okay, so idea, everyone's got one. And inventions, few people have actually made them. So I would say the idea is a nebulous thing in your head, right? And the goal of the inventor or the designer is to get that from our heads into your heads, right? And the more concrete items we can build around that nebulous idea in our heads, the more it starts to become an invention. You can't control if it's new or original. Plenty of the stuff we've invented have been invented before we got there. But if you can get that idea from something in your head into a form that conveys that concept, I think you've got an invention there. Okay, so if I had to give tips to someone who is new to the industry or aspiring to join the industry, I would say a couple of things. So first, this is a business where we hear no a lot. On average, we hear 95 no's for every 1 yes or so. So the best thing you can do is just prepare yourself for that eventuality. You're going to love it and they're going to be indifferent on it, and that's okay, because you want to you don't want to stay the place where they kind of look at this and maybe like it. You want to go somewhere where they celebrate it, love it, and have been waiting for it. So show it to as many people as possible, but get ready for a lot of no's and steel yourself for that. Practice getting no's from other people. The easiest way to do that is to show it to a bunch of people before you show it to a toy company. And you want to test it and get people to try to play with it or play the game or play with the toy to give you feedback and shake out as many of those little things that could be better early. And as you're doing that, the biggest tip I have when you're playtesting or showing it to people that are not in the industry understand that they're going to give their feedback in two ways. They're first going to tell you what's wrong with it, then they're going to tell you how to fix it. We don't care about the second part because they don't know what they're talking about. You do. So we want to listen to what's wrong with it. What didn't you like? I didn't like this. It made me feel blah. Lock that in. You should fix it by yada yada. Forget it. You know your toy or your game way better than they do. So listen to the problem statement. Weigh the solution. Maybe there's something there, but don't chase every solution somebody offers you. Trust your gut and fix the problem, but fix it your way. And if you can do that and you can show it to a lot of people and get ready for a bunch of no's, you're going to find the few yeses that champion you, and you'll be off and running in no time.